Hello friends, this is Shelley from Koala Mitts and Knacks, and boy, are you ever going to be glad you joined me in this tutorial. We are going to use one Caron Cinnamon Swirl Cake in the color Jellybean. Isn't that just like, don't those look like Jellybean colors? We're going to use one cake. We are going to have this one video, and we are going to make 3 projects. That's right, friends. We're making all 3 of these pieces in this one video. So you're going to want to stick around. I am so thrilled about it. These are single layer. This is a single layer beanie, and the scarf is a drop stitch scarf. But the nice thing about the scarf is that I connected it in a tubular way. So it is a true infinity scarf. It's not cinched at the ends. It's not closed at both ends and then joined. It is tubular through the whole scarf. So you are going to want to learn this technique. And trust me, it's fun. You're gonna enjoy it. The only thing that's double thickness is the gloves, but that's okay. We can handle that. So friends, grab yourself a cinnamon swirl cake in your favorite color. Grab your 46 needle or your 48 needle machine, and let's make all 3 of these pieces. Don't forget to hit that the thumbs up button, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would appreciate that also very much. And friends, I am going to make mention of my PayPal account. You'll find that link underneath my video. I don't mention it all that often, but it is something that I do have with my channel, and if you feel like you want to support me in that way, I would appreciate that too. It does take a lot of time and resources to make these videos, and I am very, very happy to give them to you for free. No pressure with the PayPal link. I just wanted to mention it because it does help out, and I do appreciate it. So if you feel so inclined, it's down there for you. So again, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and once you have your supplies, we're going to get started. All right, friends, we are going to begin. And I'm going to use my 46 needle Addi, but go ahead and use your center if you like. Actually, for this scarf, you can use whatever machine you want. You can go from a narrow scarf to a 40 needle, or right up to the 48, whatever you like. I'm going to use the 46, and we're going to cast on with waste yarn. Now, our waste yarn is a color that is contrasting from the working yarn that we're using so that we can see the stitches. After we have it off the machine, we can easily see the stitches against this yarn so that we can pick them up and make a flat edge. Okay, but we're going to go in front and behind, in front and behind, all the way around. Casting on with our waste yarn. It's pretty tight coming out of my ball. Let me just loosen it up there. I'm not putting any extra pressure or tension on my yarn as I weave it in and out of the needles. I'm just letting it flow as it comes out of my hand. And then our first row, we're going to go slow, making sure those loops go over the red teeth before the needle picks up the yarn and brings it down. This is the row where sometimes you have split stitches and half of your loop is in between. Like one part of your loop is over top of this half of the red pin and is in the right place, and the other one is in the middle of the 2 and it's split. You can prevent that sometimes by going slow like this and making sure your first row is good. And if you're using yarn that's difficult throughout your project, and you find that you're using a yarn that splits fairly easily, then you're going to want to go slow throughout your project, so you can watch as all those loops drop down over the red teeth. And you might have to use your loom pick to fix it if it's caught in between. It's a common problem, and people endlessly ask it in the Facebook groups. How come my yarn is splitting? How come my yarn is splitting? It's because it's a type of yarn, and it's because you're going too fast and you're not watching as it goes over those red loops. It's all preventable. Okay, so we're going to keep going. I don't know how many rows I've done, but I'm going to stop there. I usually do 7. Change my row counter to 0. And I'm watching for this black divider to come around, which I take a permanent black marker and I color it between my last white and my first black, so I always know when to stop. You're going to cut your waste yarn, open your latch, pop it between the last white and the first black needle. We're going to take our working yarn, we're going to pop it into our yarn feeder in between the last white and the first black needle, and we're going to knit 4, 5, 6 needles. And you'll see how these loops are over the red, is over that red divider. I want to help that down, and then I'm going to take both working ends. And if you didn't notice that, watch how it snugged it up. And it's so that we have, once our project is off the machine, we have a nice tension on the beginning of our row as well as the rest. Okay, so now I'm going to hold it between my fingers like this, just with a very, very light tension. I'm going to make sure that that waste yarn slips down as I pick up this first row of new yarn. There we go. And I have to release it from my ball because this is a brand new ball and it's very tight. I'm going to just take some out so they have some slack, and we're going to just knit. Friends, we are going to knit 70 rows. Just going round and round and round, just like this. Oh, I think this is going to be so beautiful. I cannot wait to see what it looks like. So once we get to 70 rows, or once my project starts to touch the table, I'm going to stop and show those of you who are new what we do with it and why we do what we're going to do. So keep going, and once your project touches the table, come back and see me. If you know what to do with it, then go ahead and continue on until you knit 70 rows. I needed to pop on real quick to tell you, you need to watch as your needles pass by your yarn guide to make sure that those loops are going over the red teeth. Because we're doing a drop scarf, if you have a tucked stitch in there and you miss fixing it, well, your scarf is on that row is only going to drop as far as your tucked stitch. You need to pay attention to a scarf that is made like this, ensuring that there are no tucked stitches that have not been fixed, if you have any. But you know what? I always say, if you find the speed that your yarn and your machine together like, you can just keep going and you'll have no problem, which is exactly what I'm doing here. It's not an overly fast speed, but it's the right speed. All those loops I'm watching as they pass the yarn feeder, they're easily going down off those needles over the red teeth, and I'm having success. Okay, so watch for that, friends, and if you do see a tuck stitch, make sure you fix it. All right, I am just completing row 58, and my my project is starting to touch the table. If you don't take care of that issue, it starts to bunch up like this, and then when you get so much slack at the top here, one of those loops will fall off your red teeth and you'll start dropping a row. So we want to make sure that our tension is tighter. So you're going to just pick it up. Oh, these colors are gorgeous. And you're going to roll it into a donut. Just like that. And that prevents that problem. It also keeps the tension around the rim of the barrel very nice. So we're going to keep doing that every 15 or 20 rows. For this particular scarf, you probably just need to do that because we're almost done. And you're going to keep going till the end of your project, which is 70 rows. Coming up on the end of row 70, there we go. I'm going to now cut my yarn tail, open my latch, pop that in between the last white, the first black. You don't need a long one. I always add one when I need one. I find it easier to do it that way. And we're going to pop in our waste yarn in between the last white, the first black, and we are going to knit. I'm going to take this off differently than what we normally take off. Generally, once you do your waste yarn like this, you do as many rows as you want, and then you cut your yarn and you just rotate your handle twice so that your project comes off the machine. But because we're going to be working with closing the ends, you know, for dropping the stitches and making it into a tube, I don't want this to start unraveling, so I'm going to do one more row here. I'm going to cut off a tail that's long enough to go around my barrel, 1.5 to 2 times, and we're going to cast off with the long tail, or with the drawstring cast off. That way, it will hold our stitches in place. So taking my needle, I'm going to pop that on there. We are going to rotate our barrel until the needles drop down, then we can take off our stitches. We will not pull this tight to make it cinched at the end. Oops, dropped that one. To make it cinched at the end, we're going to make a flat edge. So when you have this off, don't pull on it to tighten it. And we're just going to continue around the barrel, taking off our stitches. Once you get the first few off, you have some slack on there. And then you can take a few more at a time. Just like that. If you pull up too hard on this when you're pulling your yarn through, you'll risk dropping your loops off the teeth that come after, so be very careful. All right, friends, go around. Take off all 46 stitches, and when you have that done, I'll see you back. Now that we have our piece off the machine, we are going to stretch it out and make it look even more beautiful than it already does. So you're going to take it, and you're going to stretch it widthwise all the way up. And then you're going to stretch it lengthwise. And all those colors just smooth out and soften, and it looks beautiful. Doesn't look like a scarf yet, but it will. Okay, so we are going to now take our two ends, and essentially they're going to go together like this. But we want to find our exact side. Now I can go ahead and cut this longer tail off so it's not in my way. Make sure all your ends are outside of your work, because they're very hard to find afterwards if you sew it closed and they're tucked in there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take stitch markers, and we're going to mark the first and the last stitch on every row. So here's the one at the top here, has my waste yarn going up. Okay, I'm going to look for the loop that's the last loop in there, and that's this one here, and I'm going to pop a stitch marker in there. Then the working yarn that comes down is attached to this loop right up here. I'm going to pop a stitch marker in there as well. Taking two more stitch markers, we're going to go over to this other side, and you will see where this waste yarn is. If you pull on it, it's coming out of this big loop here. See, if I go down here and I pull on this, that's the loop it's coming out of. I'm going to pop my stitch marker on that loop, and then when you go to the left of it, you've got our working yarn here that's set up right beside this loop here. You're going to pop your stitch marker in there. Okay, we're going to work from this side out to this side. And to make sure that we're starting in the right loops, we know that there's 46 around, so we have to find the very side ones, 23 and 24. And so we're going to count where the first stitch marker is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. These two right here. I'm going to recount that. And then you're going to do the same from here. Find 23 and 24. And I believe it's these two because I already did it once and then I took it out. And we're going to keep our eye on those two on this side and those two on that side for our starting position. So go ahead, mark off 23 and 24, 23 and 24, just so that you know exactly where they are. Now that you have that done, you're going to take a long piece of yarn, one that'll go around your piece at least twice so that you don't run out. We're going to put that onto our yarn needle. We are going to attach this tube to this tube in a tube-like fashion. So we have a flat edge, but it also stays as a tube. We marked off 23 and 24 here, and 23 and 24 here. We're going to go under 24 on our bottom one. Pick up that stitch. Pull that through, and I'm going to hide that. Then we're going to go up to 23 because these are matching up like that. So we got to go to 23. We did this 24th stitch on this one. We're doing the 23rd stitch on this one. And you're going to pick it up. Now, the one thing we have to remember is that on our bottom panel, our bottom tube, we're going to miss every second stitch because those are the rows that are going to drop. So in order to do that, we're going to be picking up one on this side and two on this side, because otherwise we're going to end up getting this row all done, and this one will be half done. Okay, so I've picked up those first two. Now I know I have to drop this one, sorry. So I'm going to go into this one. I'm going to pick this second one up. I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to pick up these next two. So I'm going to go into that stitch and pick it. You can fold it like that to make the point of the V up at the top, and then you just go across and go under. Don't grab any of the green or it'll snag. Like that. I'm going to pick up two there. Then I'm going to go across. I'm going to miss this one. I'm going to pick up this one. Okay. Then I've got to pick up the next two. So here they are. You can fold it this way if you need to see a stitch to go right across. And you're going to pick up those two. This is just my way of doing it. I don't know, maybe there's other ways of doing it that maybe you've done it and done it a different way, but this is how I figured it. I'm going to miss this one. I'm going to pick up this next one. I'm going to do this all the way around. So now I'm going to go up to this top one. I see there's the next two, so I'm going to pick up both of those. Just like that. I'm going to miss one and pick up the next one. Then up at the top, it's coming out of this one, so you know you got to pick up the next two. I'm going to miss one and pick up the next one. I find it easier to start on this side when I don't have to fight with where these are, with these tails. Some of you might want to leave a really long tail and start on this end and go the other way around, but this is what works best for me. You can choose what you like, and now we're going to work around these tails, and then we're going to tie them together later and hide them. It's a little extra step, but it's for me visually, I need to do it that way. Okay, so now this is when we're coming out, so we need to pick up these next two. I like a clean start at this end. I'm going to miss this one and go into this one. I'm going to pick up these next two. I'm going to miss this one and go into this one. I'm going to do that until I get to here, and then we'll do the corner together. When you get close to the corner, I want you to rotate your tube so that you always have your working row in the middle here, and you're not fighting with the curve there. So I just twisted it so that I brought those stitch markers now into the center here, and they will be easier to work around. Pull those out, pull those out. And this helps me to see where those stitches are so that I don't miss anything important, okay? All right, so I just did the top row. I picked up two. Now I have to miss this next one, and I'm going to come into the one where my stitch marker is, okay? So there's no confusion. I've got a stitch marker there that helps me find the stitches in this little mess of of yarn tails. Now I know I'm going up to the top. I need to pick up two, so I'm going to pick up this next one and the one with the stitch marker. And again, we'll tie off those tails once we remove our waste yarn. Okay, so I've picked up two from the top row. I need to miss one. So this next one is where this stitch marker is. I'm going to miss it, and I'm going to go to this next one. So it's very important that you put your stitch markers in, because it's very confusing at this part of the work. But if you have your stitch markers in, it's not confusing at all. It just makes total sense. Okay, keeping your tails out. So now we worked into this stitch marker, you remember? Okay, so now we know we got to go into this next stitch marker, which is right beside it. So we're going to go ahead and pick up those stitches right there, the next two. And pull that through. Let's straighten out our yarn tails so we don't get confused here. This one can come back under here, actually. Get that out of the way. Get those in the middle, see? Just take your time, friends. You can do it. If you have to rewind this a little bit to see what I did, go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is the one we worked. We're gonna miss this one, go into this next one. Help that around the bobby pins. Give that a yank. This is the one we worked last, so we're gonna take the next two. You can actually remove all these bobby pins now. They are getting in the way and you don't need them. As long as your yarn tails are out, you've worked those stitches, you can remove that. And there you go. And there we go. I'm gonna rotate this a little bit again. So I have a nice surface to work, long piece to work on. And we're going to continue. So I know I'm up at the top here. I've got to then miss this one and go into this one. And then I'm going to pick up the next two. Miss this one, pick up this one. And be sure that you're missing the right one and that you're not missing two, that you're just missing one on the bottom row, and you will be great, because this one we just worked. I'm going to miss this one. I'm going to go into this one. I'm going to go ahead and pick up both of these. I'm going to continue that all the way around, my friends, until I get to the end, and then I'll meet you back. And the fun will begin. Coming close to the end here. I worked this one, so I need to miss that one. Pick up this one. And I rotated my tube again to make it easier. Pick up those two. Okay, so I just worked in this one. If I miss this one I worked when I started. So then we know we've done it right, because every second one is missed. We got to the end. We have one left that we are going to miss, but we have to make sure that we have one left here, but we got to make sure that we work it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back down into that first pink one and come up that first stitch. You're going to come up there. Then you're going to go into that single one that's left there and over to the one that you worked first. Now you've joined it and you've caught every stitch that you need to. You're going to cut this off. You're going to tie a knot. And we're going to hide that end a little bit later too. It's hard to hide an end in a drop stitch scarf, but we're going to do it. And then now that you have it all attached all the way around, oh, it's a little loose there. I think it'll be okay. We're going to remove our waste yarn, so it doesn't matter where you start here. We're going to start, let's just find our end. And we're going to roll up and we're going to pull out that first row. Just like that. Go down, roll it up, pinch the stitch, pull out that very top row. It's a little bit of a chore because this is in a tube now, but hey, like I said, we got this. And we're going to go around and we're going to remove that first row. And you have to do this for both ends because we cast off with the drawstring cast off. So you'll have to remove the first row on that other side too. And then we're going to just begin to remove this. Okay. So I'm going to go around. I can use this waste yarn again, so I'm just going to take my time and roll it up as I go. Oops, I'm not doing a very good job. that in there. And you see what I'm doing. You're going to go around and you're going to remove the waste yarn from both sides just by doing exactly what I am doing. Putting it through the tube. And here we go, almost done. I'll finish this first one with you and set you free for the second one. There you go. You can see your stitches are starting to drop now because we just took it off of that row first. Maybe I should have done the top row first, but that's okay. Either or. But I'm going to take my yarn tail. Now that I can clearly see them, I'm going to take my yarn tails from here and I'm going to tie these into a knot to secure. Once you get one side off, you can do that. I'm actually going to do 3. And now we can go ahead and remove this one. The same way we removed the other one. Except for it's going this way, so we have to pull it this way. Okay, so go ahead, friends. Remove that second waste yarn, and then we will have the fun of our lives. All right, so the waste yarn is removed. We have every second row caught. You can see those loops and every second row that's waiting to be dropped. Now, we need to worry about these little yarn ends. There's nowhere to hide them because when we hide them, if I could hide them in the row that's not dropping, but as soon as I drop this row, this one's going to be wide and it's going to fall out. So all you can do with this, my friends, that I am aware of is I'm going to just tie a 4th knot really, really, really tight. And then I'm going to cut it off. Now there's some kind of a Russian knot or something that you can do too, or I don't know what it's called. I don't know how to do that either. I'm going to be honest. I haven't learned that yet for this. So I'm going to just leave it like that and you're not even going to notice it. And we're going to take this small little scarf and we're going to start dropping. Okay, row, where are you? You got to drop too. Well, that knot's holding it. There we go. Get around that knot. I had to go off camera there a little bit and release this knot. It was stuck on a stitch and it wouldn't let go. So just take your time to do that and then you'll be able to do it, no problem. Okay? And then you're gonna just keep pulling down all the way. That is still not doing it. Okay, friends, we're going to problem solve together. This one did not drop. When I look at this row is dropping. This one is not one that we dropped. This one should be dropping. If I follow that all the way up to here, that loop was caught when I tied my end here. It's an easy fix, but I did cut this off and I did knot it 4 times. So if that happens to you, then it was because of the way I tied this knot. I should have made sure it wasn't slipped through that stitch. But you know what? I'm always one, as you know. Let me just grab my loom pick here to fix mistakes with you, because if it's happening to me, it's probably happening to you, some of you too. And we just work it out together. And so to show you where that row was, then that will help you to visualize how we are going to fix this. I'm going to undo this knot, friends, and then I'll explain that to you one more time. There we go. It's fixable because we know we did it right. I mean, we obviously did it wrong if this is the case, but we did it. I mean, I obviously made a mistake, but again, this is short, so I'm going to just hold these here. But when you look at it, every second row drops. This row is dropping, This row should stay the same. This row should drop. This row should stay the same. I'm following this row up, which is this row, and you see that the top of that loop is caught. All I'm going to do is release that yarn tail. I'm going to tie this again. It was when I tied my knots with my yarn ends, I didn't pay attention to where it was coming out, and we need to release that one. If your yarn end is caught around that stitch, you need to release it. There we go. Now I can go ahead and it can join the group. And we can continue. It looks a little bit wider only because it was stretched differently, but once we get it all down, it will be fine. Look at this. You just pull and you pull and you pull, and all those rows unravel down to the end where you caught them, because we picked up both stitches on the other end. So it's only gonna go to that last row and stop. One minor glitch, but you know what? Like I say all the time, I truly am okay with when those mistakes happen, because then it's a teachable moment too, because if that would have happened to you and you didn't see it done, you might say, oh, I have to do the whole thing over again because I made a mistake, or, you know, so we have to figure these little problems out together. And there we go. We're going to take this down almost to the bottom. Oh my goodness, you guys, it's so pretty. Now you got to work smaller sections to make sure that you get it all the way to the bottom. I'm going to go right across, making sure that it's all done, and then I'll see you back. There we go. So we have an infinity scarf that's closed in a tube. See, it's a tube. It's a tube. It's awesome. Only problem is these little tails that we tied off. So again, tie them as tight as you can. And here's another tip for you. Choose one of these colors to tie it off with. I grabbed what was next coming off the ball, and it was white. And so you can totally see that, but choose a pink, like go through your ball until you get to this purple section or the pink section, and choose one of those so that you do not see that strand going through. And I am literally going to cut this off and pray that it stays. It will, because it's knotted really, really tight. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Tight, 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 and one more, because there's nowhere to hide your ends. And maybe that's why nobody else on YouTube has attempted to do one of these like this. I pretty much think that this is the first one, and so I'm proud. I'm proud of that, actually. And there we go. We have our straight edged infinity scarf. Yes, you got those little knots, but you can work those and put them on the inside too, and hide them a little bit. And if you have any suggestions as to what else you can do, please put it in the comments below so we can all benefit from that, and I can even learn from you there too. We have a beautiful, beautiful scarf. Lightweight scarf. It's gonna look beautiful around your neck. And here it is with all the colors showing. Oh, I think it's so beautiful. You know, if you wrap it once, you have a little, like a short cowl. It's a perfect length for a short cowl. Or you know what, it's also a nice length that you can just leave it and don't wrap it twice. Have it just hanging in a single layer, and it's beautiful length that way too. Now it's time for the matching beanie. And because our scarf is so light and airy, we need a lighter beanie. So we are going to make a single layer beanie with a fake brim. Okay, so we're going, well, it's a brim, but it's a different kind of a brim. We are going to use waste yarn again. So you're going to cast on in front and behind, in front and behind, just like we did for our scarf. This might be a new technique to some of you, how we're going to make this brim, but it's fun. It's not hard, and it's always fun to learn something new. So we're going to cast on with our waste yarn, pop that into there. Go slowly for the first round so that we don't have any snag stitches, any split stitches. There we go. I'm going to continue around for 7 rows. Coming up to the end of row 7, I see that black divider coming around. I'm going to cut my yarn tail pop that into the center between the last white, the first black. Then I'm going to take my yarn, just where it ended from my last project from the scarf, and I'm going to pop that into the center. We're going to change our row counter to 0. Knit 4 or 5 needles, pop that down under the divider, tighten that up. Gives you nice tension on your first few stitches. I'm going to just give that one little tie like that. And this is the brim part of our beanie, which we are going to it'll be the thickness of half the amount of rows that we do, and you'll see why once we get there, but we're going to knit 30 rows. So I'm just going to keep going as this yarn changes colors on its own. This beanie will be a surprise. That's what it looks like, just like our scarf was, but I love the scarf. So we're going to knit 30 rows, and when you get 30 rows done, come back and see me. Once I have it centered where the last white and the first black are in front of my yarn feeder, we're going to go down and reach into the bottom, and we're going to pull up our end, okay? You're going to look for the loop that is beside your working yarn tail. So here's our working yarn. This is our waste yarn. This is our working yarn, and that loop that's right beside it, you're going to pick that up. You're going to put it under the nook of that black needle. You can hold these into place here so that they don't get in your way. You're going to put that underneath the nook of that black needle, which is your needle 1. You're going to turn your handle. Now, what you're doing is you've got that loop under there, but it's also picking up your yarn from your working yarn. I want to put a little bit of tension on that. And that's going to drop down. Then you're going to take your next loop. You're going to put that under the nook of that next needle. Then you're going to grab this just so it has some tension and drop that one down. And then you're going to take the next loop. Put that under the needle, give it a little tension, and set up the next one. We're going to do that all the way around, picking up the loop, putting it under the nook of that needle, putting a little bit of tension on your working yarn, and moving along. Picking up that loop underneath. And this is how we're making our mock brim. Easy peasy. And then we'll take our waste yarn off the project once we get it off the machine. So now this 30 rows that we knit, because it's in half, you now have a brim that is 15 rows in width. I have a tutorial on my channel that's just for doing a single layer beanie like this. And don't forget to find that little loop that's in there. Sometimes they like to hide. And I did a brim that was 20 rows and folded up as 10. And to be honest, I find that it's too narrow. It is nice and lots of people like it, but this one's a little bit wider. I like it a little bit wider, I think. Back that up if you have to get that under the brim. And don't go over to this one and think that that you're safe. You wanna, where is that one? The next one, sometimes it gets tight, so you just wanna visually follow it and figure it out, and you can get it. Back it up just a little bit if it went too far, okay? Go ahead and attach all those loops around just like that, and see how we have a folded up brim there? And when we get to the end or closer to the end, I'll meet you back. I just want to show you, friends, you can do 2 at a time if you like. Pop that on there, take this next one, pop that on there, and then knit both. Okay, take the next one, pop that on there, that one on there. Oops, I split my green yarn, so that's going to affect how my waste yarn comes off. So I want to fix that. There we go. And then knit them both. You can do it that way too. Okay, I'm coming close to the end. I have 2 more to go. And before I get any further, after I attach this, I'm going to set my counter to 0. It's at 0. Okay, so we know, let me just finish knitting these 2. We're getting that one ready to go. We know that we've done 30 rows, and now when we make our brim, it comes to 15 rows, okay, because it's doubled. So, but depending on how long you want your beanie to be, is how many rows you're going to want to do now. So we're going to have for me, we're going to make our total row count 55 rows. That doesn't seem like a lot, but you got to remember this is a single layer beanie. So when we account for 15 of those rows being the brim, we are going to need 40 more rows. So I have reset my counter to 0, and now I'm going to go until I have 40 more rows, totaling a total of 55. This first row that you do, you gotta be very careful because you got double loops on there. You're gonna push down every needle as your yarn goes. See, this is gonna be a little bit looser. It's a bit of a push that down, then maybe knit 2, just for this first row. Push that down, put some tension on your yarn, and knit 2. Or you can go very slow, and if they fall down on their own, that's great, but you want to make sure. So you're watching every needle. So far, both loops are falling down over those red teeth. And that's what we want. And now we're into single loops again. A beautiful blue color change. Oh, this yarn is gorgeous, you guys. I'm gonna go slowly again till I can get my, see, that one was gonna tuck, so I caught that on time by watching this one tucked. I'm gonna come around and we're going to, I missed it as I was looking at that other one, so we're gonna come around, I'm gonna fix it with you. I'm watching for the needle that has no loop over it. That's this one here. So I'm gonna let it pass my yarn guide. I'm going to knit, partially knit the one that's before it. Then I can let that drop down completely. Pop that yarn tail in between those two little red teeth, okay, because that holds it into place. Then I wrap it around my counter. Then I can go ahead and take this next one off. Taking my loom pick, I'm going to take that loop off, okay, just like that. I'm going to let it fall so I get that very next loop. Catch it with your fingers. Where's my small crochet hook? You're going to grab your crochet hook. You're going to go under that bar. Lift it up out from underneath those two red dividers so you got more slack. Go underneath that, then go into the loop. Put the loop behind the red bar, just like that. Then grab the blue bar again and bring it through the loop on the hook. Let me do that again with you. Okay, so it's a two-step motion. Under there, so into the loop. Behind the bar, that's one. Then you grab the bar again and take it through the loop. That's 2. Then you can pop those little bars underneath the red dividers. It holds it in place as you pop that back over the red teeth. I'm going to unwind all of this. Put that underneath that red divider. Back my needle up just a tiny wee bit so I can catch that yarn tail under it. That yarn under it, and then I can keep going. That's how you fix a tuck stitch. I also have a video on it. If you need it in slower motion and more clearly, you can go ahead and watch that video. So I'm going to keep knitting for 40 rows, and then that will take my project length with my brim divided in half to 55. So this next 40 rows that I'm doing plus the 15 from the brim is 55 rows. So friends, keep going until your counter says 40, and then I'll see you back. Just finishing row 40. I see that black divider coming around. I'm going to now take a yarn tail that will wrap around my barrel 1.5 times or so. And we are going to cast off. Now, if you find that doing 55 rows in total for length, like we did 30 rows for the brim, then we put it in half, and that made 15 in length, and then we did another 40, which makes it 55. If you want it a little bit snugger to the head, then go ahead and do only 35 rows here and make it 50. You can customize this. If you want a slouchy single layer beanie, then you just add rows. But I think that this is a nice middle ground size. I'm going to close that latch so that when I turn my barrel, I don't break a needle. We still have to finish knitting this one and this one, so I'm going to put a little bit of tension on there. These needles drop down. I can then go ahead and start taking them off. Okay, so once the needle drops down, that loop becomes available. When you get some slack, I do one at a time for maybe the first 4 or 5, and then you can take more, because then you'll have some slack in there. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Now you can pick up one, hold it with your thumb on your needle, and go around. And we're going to take our project off our machine by releasing all 46 of these little loops. Go ahead, friends. Once we have our project off the machine, we have to stretch it. Okay. Widthwise, I'm going to just stretch that. Look at the difference between that and that. I'm going to stretch my brim all on its own because it's a double layer and it might be a little harder to do. And then I'm going to stretch the rest of my beanie. Yeah, I like a wider brim. If you go on my channel and you see the other one, I've made a slouchier beanie. This one's going to be closer to the head, and I've made a narrower brim. But I like this. I like the looks of a wider brim as well. So I'm going to pull this tight. Using my cinch guide to have a little bit of a space. Here's my cinch guide. I get these from Pom-kins.com. They come, I also order these, or get these pom-pom holders. They're for removable pom-poms. You attach your pom-pom, you stick it in the little hole, and this guide helps you to know what width of a hole to make. So you're going to set that in there, or you're going to put a pen in there if you don't have a cinch guide and you want to use removable pom-pom. A pen width is good too. And you're going to, I'm going to cut this a little bit shorter, as I always do. Maybe that was too short. And we're going to go around the top layer of our beanie and cinch it. You know, these things make a hole that's wide enough for a removable pom-pom, but not so big that when you wear it without a pom-pom that it looks odd. They are the perfect thing. So go check out I'll put it in the link below, in the description box below, but Pom-kins.com. Ask for Renda or Sam. They'll help you, and they do a great job. And you know what? You can also buy Addi stoppers for, like, there's Centro and Addi stoppers. So if you're doing flat panels, I know the Centros don't come with the stoppers, but you can order them from her, and they fit both your Addi and your Centro. How great is that? Okay, so I'm going to now take this and make a knot, and one more. If I would have done this inside out, then the knot would have been on the inside, but I'm going to fix that little problem. I'm going to pop this just through there, right along the seam, and get it to the inside. Just like that. Pull on it, and the knot comes with it. Then I'm just going to weave this in and out. And down, and cut it off. And then we're going to, well, worry about the pom-pom later, but we're going to take this off now. I almost forgot about the waist yarn. You're going to grab where your tail is, and you're going to see which direction it's coming. So it's coming from this direction. So I'm going to roll this up till I get to the very top row, and you see the stitch there? I'm going to pinch the stitch, pull the line, the very top row. You can go down like 10, 15 stitches and repeat it. And repeat it till you get that very top row out. This yarn is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it feels just as beautiful. Okay, then we're gonna remove our waist yarn. Guess you don't have to. You know, I've done 7 rows for forever. But you really probably don't need to do so many waist yarn rows. You probably could get away with 5, 4, however many you choose. But we're going to pull that off. I'm going to take this yarn tail. Let me put this inside out. I'm going to take this yarn tail. I'm going to put it on my needle, and we're going to fasten this one off because it's not knotted off. It's just there. So I'm going to go around and knot it off once and
twice. Pull that knot down with my thumb. Then put this in through the 2 layers. Pull it through. And there you go, friends. Isn't that pretty? Oh, it's so pretty. It matches the scarf just like beautifully. It's a fun thing, okay? If the weather is not hot, not very cold, but you still need something for the wind and just a little bit of warmth. Some of you live in climates where you don't want the hot hats like beanies like what we have here in Manitoba, Canada. So this layered beanie, single layered beanie is perfect for you. We're going to take our little pumpkin. Let me grab my pom-pom. Which one do I want? I want a colored one. Do I like that light one or this one? I think I like this light one. I'm going to grab that elastic. I'm going to shake the dickens out of this. However, if you blow dry it with hot air for 15 seconds, it's even nicer than this, but look at that. It transforms your pom-poms. If you are doing craft sales, when you put your hats out, make sure you shake your pom-pom good and proper before you sell your beanie. It'll attract people a lot better than if you just leave it messy. Okay, I'm going to pop that elastic onto the middle of that pumpkin. Then I'm going to turn it one more time. Put that into the center. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bend that in half and squeeze it with your fingers. Now it's hard to do because it springs back, which is what you want it to do. And then you're going to pop it in that little hole. And see how it opens up? It's not going nowhere. And you have a beautiful removable pom-pom holder. This does not touch your head. You don't have to worry about that. It's very, very comfortable. And there you go. And there's the matching scarf.
Isn't it beautiful? I just love it. You know, it actually turned out a little bit longer than what I thought it was going to, but I like it like this. I think that looks very pretty to have it like that in the back or at the top. But you can, you know, go ahead and make less rows if you want, or make a lot more rows. It is totally up to you, but I'm loving that little pink pom-pom. So here it is with the scarf. I think it looks beautiful as a set too. And again, with that scarf, you can go ahead and wear that double wrapped like that, or just let it hang in a single wrap, and it's beautiful that way too. We are getting some bad weather right now. I'm going to show you actually, and then after that, we're going to move on to the fingerless mitts.
I just thought I'd interrupt this recording to show you what's going on in my neighborhood right now. We are getting hail. It is May the 18th, 2024. Or is it the 19th? I can't remember. One of those 2 days. But we're getting hail. I know this isn't circular knitting, but hey, it's my life and I'm wanting to share it with you, so adding this to my video. Just a little interruption.
All right, so you're going to need waste yarn for this project, and we're going to bring our last white, our first black line, our needles in line with our yarn feeder, and we're going to go ahead and cast on in front and behind, in front and behind, all the way around. Now my entire knitting career, it's actually not been that long, to be honest with you. I've always done 7 rows of waste yarn, as I have mentioned in every video that I do, but I'm gonna do something different this time. I'm gonna do 5. So I'm gonna go down to 5 rows, and if I don't like it, then I'll go back up to 7. Maybe I'll say, oh, I don't even need 5, I'll go to 3, but I'm gonna do 5 rows. I don't know what that is. That's 3. Or maybe that's 2. This is 3. 4, I think. I don't know, I lost count, so much for that. And 1 more. And there we go. I see that black divider coming around. I'm going to cut off my yarn tail, pop it into the center between the last white, the first black, change my row counter to 0. Now I'm going to be strategic about this part of the tutorial. I cut my yarn to start at the beginning of the pink. When we are doing fingerless gloves, I don't want my gloves to be I don't want them to both be different colors. I want them to be the same. So I'm starting with pink. I'm going to pop that into my yarn feeder. I'm going to hold both tails. I'm going to knit 3 or 4, and I'm going to pop that down under the divider, tighten up that tension, just give this one little tie,
holds it down. I'm going to knit 33 rows. And my clamp is coming undone. I have one clamp, I think the gears are stripped because it keeps coming undone, but luckily I have 4 more where that came from, so I'll change that, but I might have 6 more, we'll see. But I'm gonna knit 33 rows, and when I get to row 33, I'll see you back. Coming up to the end of row 33, and there we go. Again, if you want to do it longer for your hand, then go ahead and do more rows. But 33 works good for me. Okay, I'm going to cut off that tail, pop it in the middle between the last white, the first black, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my waste yarn again. I'm going to put it in there. Now let me just say, when I finished the beanie, I ended off on this yellow color. And so I just took that color, like kept unwinding that color until I got to the very next color, which was the pink. I didn't just go into the middle ball and say, oh, what color do I want to start with? I started with the very next color that was available that hadn't been started yet. Okay, we're going to put our waste yarn. I'm going to knit 5 rows. 3, 4, and the reason why I can go less rows is because I cast off differently when I use waste yarn at the end of a project now. Generally, we would cut this, put it into the center and rotate our barrel twice and then take our project off, but then this starts to unravel and it gets very, very annoying. So we're going to do something that I've been doing now pretty consistently. We're going to do the drawstring cast off. Only thing is we're not going to cinch it closed. We're just going to use it because it holds all those little stitches in place. So again, we've done this several times already. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to remove my project from my machine. Then I'm going to find in my cake, I'm going to unravel it till I get to the next start of the pink. Now I'm looking at it as I'm talking to you, and that's quite a ways in, but that's okay. It is crazy how many projects we can get from one ball of this yarn, because we're doing single layer things, except for these mitts will be double. But I'm going to go ahead and remove this. I'm going to find the pink on my cake, and I'm going to make a second one exactly like this. When I have that done, I'll remove my machine and we will assemble. There we go. We have 2 done. And you guys, there's still this much yarn left. That's like crazy. You could probably make another short drop stitch. I don't know what you could make out of that, but that's crazy. I'm going to stretch this widthwise and lengthwise. The fact that we could make the fingerless gloves last and we could surf down till we got the same color to start with again and still have yarn left over this is a worth it project. Like if you go buy this and you make sets like this and sell them, you're going to make your money back. No problem. Or just a fun gift to give away. I'm going to set one of these aside because it's in my way. We're going to grab 2 stitch markers. Let's start up on the pink side here. Where our waste yarn is going up, we're going to pop a stitch marker in that loop that it's coming through last. Then up to the left of it, right beside our working yarn, pop one in there. Now there's several ways we can close this. We could do a Kitchener stitch if we wanted to and make it really nice and neat that way, but I also love the look of just the braided join, and we're going to do that with our crochet hook. That's what I call it. But anyways, we're going to take this first one and count it as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 are our very side stitches because we have 46, okay? We're going to go under 24, count that as 1, then pick up 23, pass it through the loop on our hook. We've worked 2 stitches. Go down to the bottom, pick up the next one, pass it through the loop on your hook. That's 3. Up to the top, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to the end, making sure, friends, that if you're not 100% sure where to pick up your stitches, that you're counting them as you go all the way to the end. And if you've counted them right, if you've not missed any of them, this bottom stitch marker will always be 45. This one will be 46. Okay, so go ahead and close your piece, and then I'll meet you back. I'm at the end. I'm going to pull up on 45, work that stitch, pull up on 46 to get under that, work that stitch, oops, yarn over with my tail, pull that through to secure. Then you can remove your waste yarn just as what I've showed you previously. We're going to go to the other side, which is not unraveling because we did a cast off the way we did at the end of our project, which I'm loving. We're going to find our waste yarn, the loop that's coming out. We're going to put our stitch marker. Go to the left of it. Our working yarn is attached to this loop. See, just like that. Make sure your tails are outside of your work. You're going to count around to 23 and 24, and you're going to close off just like what we did this side. Remove your waste yarn and do it for your second fingerless glove. Once you have your waste yarn off, you're going to hide your tails. You know, as I'm making this, I'm thinking, oh man, this yarn would make such beautiful cuddle bears. Go to my channel, look for the cuddle bears, cuddle bunnies, and make the body part with this, and then make a solid color for the head. It would be beautiful. Okay, so there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our yarn again, and we're going to grab a piece that goes the length of your mitt, maybe twice. That's all you need. I'm going to put one aside. I want the pink to be what goes at the top of my hands like that, okay? So what I'm going to do is we need to put it on our hand. And you need to bring this across and figure out whereabouts you want your thumb to be. I think my thumb is going to be between the pink and the blue. And I think that will work out fine. I'm going to mattress stitch. I'll show you here. We're going to put this together like this. We're going to find it so that the wide part of the V, if you follow any of my tutorials, you know the wide part of the stitch goes to the left. That sometimes means that you have to do a half a turn on your row here. We're going to go into the very top there, and then pick up 2 stitches. So 2 bars should be on your needle. Bring that through, go over to this side, go into that very top one, and go through 2 stitches and pick up. I'm going to then follow that same row. So where it's coming out there, I'm going to pick up 2. Go to this other side where it's coming out here, go back in and pick up 2. This is the mattress stitch, and pick up 2 and pick up 2. And I'm going to go just pick up 1 there to get to the end of the pink. I'm going to pull this tight. I'm going to pop my hand in there. I got to go much farther. So I'm going to go up to the middle of the blue. I want this to be up to my knuckles. So you're going to just go to what fits your hand, because everybody's hand is different. So this is how I do it. And I'm going to just go ahead. Find my rows. Go in where I came out. I'm going to pick up 2 again. And 2. I'm going to go halfway into the blue. And 2. And 2. And I'm going to try that on again. And if this comes down to the purple, I think that's going to be perfect. Maybe 1 too high, actually. I'm going to take 1 out. 1 out there, and then 1 out here, so they're even. So I actually just went up into the blue twice. I'm going to put that on again. It's all a trial and error thing here, because I want it to line up with my knuckles there. And then if I have that purple there, I'm going to go, I took out too many. I'm actually going to, oops, I'm going to stick with the 2. There. And there. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches up, okay, because we did 1 at that corner there. So we did 11 stitches up for my hand. Now I'm going to just hold that together, and I'm going to trail this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that's where I'm going to begin my mattress stitch here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to go into here and pick up 2. I'm going to go back into here, pick up 2. And we're going to finish it all the way up to the top. When we pull it, we have to be careful that we don't gather in there where the thumb is. I'm going to get up to the top of the purple, and I'm going to try it on and make sure that it's where I want it to be. And again, we all have different measurements for our hands. So this is just what works for me. You can follow the same technique and figure out where your thumb will go. So I'm going to hold that on. I think I figured that out perfectly. It's perfect. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to remember my row counts for my second one, and I will do it the same way. So I missed 6 on each side here. And then we're going to put this on. So it doesn't take long to figure it out. Go back to that row. But again, take the time for your own hand. And you might want to add another 5 rows to your mitt. And if it's a little bit too long for you, then roll over the edge and make a cuff. I don't want a cuff on these ones because I want it to be, it's already double thickness when the other parts of the project are single thickness. But there we go. Pull both of those ends. I'm going to take my needle. I'm going to tie off on this one by going over to this first stitch that you see up there, coming back into the first stitch on this side, tying off a knot. I'm going to make one more knot, hide my tail in between the layers, cut it off, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same with this. Being a little bit more strategic because I don't want to really see the white there, so I'm going to go there, go just on the inside of that stitch. And I'm going to, well, you'll see a little bit of a white there, but that's okay. Knot that off. And I'm going to go inside for the second knot so I don't have a big white lump. Or a big white line there, okay? And we're going to work a knot. I'll do one more. Pull that down with my thumb, hide my tail. It's amazing how this stretches once you work with it. And there you go. I'm going to make the other one exactly like it. So there you go, friends. What do you think of that? These are going to go in my bike bag because I have a bag on the back of my bike. I'll do a lot of biking in the summertime, and sometimes my hands get cold. And so these will be perfect for that. And so there we go. We have our set.
And here they are. You know, I find I get much better pictures when I shoot outside, but they also give me a good background, so that's great. You know, aside from that little white line that's up in the pink on that second glove. That's like a discrepancy that was in the yarn, so I'm just leaving it. I think it's great. I'm not bothered by it at all. But here we go. Here's the whole set, all 3 pieces together. And can you believe we got it from one cake, and we still have lots left? So I mean, you could have made a much longer scarf if you wanted. You can make maybe a headband to go with this, and you got the lots of options. So there's lots that you can do with one ball, one cake. So I'm very pleased about that. Friends, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'd really appreciate that. And come on over to my Facebook group and show us your work that you've done. And if you are posting in any other knitting group, please make sure you always put the link with it. I'd appreciate that so much. It helps people to find the channel that it's actually on, and directs people to my channel. So you're doing that would benefit me and help me out a lot, and I would really, really appreciate it. So thanks again, friends. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Take care and have a blessed day.